Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez rubbed her tired eyes as she monitored the deep space tracking array. Third shift at Jupiter Outpost 7 was notoriously uneventful, precisely why new officers started their careers here. The holographic displays surrounding her workstation showed the usual traffic: mining vessels near the asteroid belt, passenger transports to the Mars colonies, and the occasional research probe venturing toward the outer planets. "Lieutenant, I'm getting anomalous readings in Sector 12, said Ensign Park, his voice breaking the comfortable silence of the monitoring station. "Mass displacement that doesn't match any registered vessel." Maya frowned, adjusting her interface to focus on the coordinates. "Probably sensor ghosts. The radiation belt's been active this week." The anomaly disappeared, then reappeared closer to Jupiter. Maya ran a diagnostic on the sensors, but everything checked out perfectly. Before she could comment, the station's eye assistant chimed in with its clinical voice. "Alert. Unknown object detected. Mass estimate exceeds all registered human vessels by factor of 27. No transponder signal detected." "That's impossible," Maya whispered, but the readings remained stubbornly consistent. The object materialized fully at the edge of Jupiter's orbit, emerging as if from nowhere. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she initiated first contact protocols and opened an emergency channel to Earth Defense Command. "This is Lieutenant Rodriguez at Jupiter Outpost 7. We have visual confirmation of an unidentified vessel of non-human origin, requesting immediate instructions." Admiral Kenzo Yamamoto was awakened at 3:47 hours Earth Standard Time. By 4:10, he stood in the gleaming command center of Earth Defense Headquarters beneath Mount Fuji, surrounded by hastily assembled senior staff in various states of dress. The massive display dominating the front wall showed the alien vessel in stunning detail, a structure that defied conventional engineering principles, with spiraling appendages and sections that seemed to phase in and out of visible spectrum. "All Sol system defenses are at high alert, Admiral," reported Commander Elena Santos. "The Mars and Luna colonies have initiated shelter protocols. Europa Station reports no change in the vessel's position." Yamamoto nodded, his weathered face betraying no emotion. At 62, he had led Earth's unified defense forces through political crisis, asteroid deflection operations, and the occasional pirate threat in the outer colonies. But first contact. No simulation had prepared him for this moment. "Open all standard communication frequencies," he ordered. "Broadcast the first contact package on repeat." For 3 days, the alien vessel remained in position, silent and motionless. Earth's government struggled to maintain public calm while military vessels quietly moved into defensive positions. Scientists debated the vessel's technology, while religious leaders offered varying interpretations of what this moment meant for humanity's place in the universe. On the morning of the 4th day, as Admiral Yamamoto reviewed evacuation plans for Earth's major cities, every communication device across the solar system simultaneously activated. Phones, tablets, holographic projectors, and even antique radios crackled to life with the same message, translated perfectly into each listener's native language. "Attention Developing Civilization Designation HFY 3. Your technological progression has been monitored for the past 72 of your years. You have now reached the threshold for preliminary assessment. The Valtteri Imperium hereby notifies you of your impending categorization. Prepare resource inventories and population statistics for evaluation. Resistance is historically futile. All species eventually accept their appropriate classification." The voice was melodic yet emotionless, the tone neither threatening nor friendly, merely administrative, as if announcing a scheduled maintenance. In the silent moments that followed, Maya Rodriguez stared at the alien vessel through her outpost telescopes. "They've been watching us for 72 years, she whispered to no one in particular. "What else do they know about us?" Admiral Yamamoto stood motionless in the command center, acutely aware that humanity's future might depend on his next decision. After a long moment, he straightened his uniform and turned to his communications officer. "Prepare a response," he said calmly. Let's show our visitors that humanity doesn't appreciate being classified without consultation. 5 days after their initial message, the Valtteri Imperium dispatched a shuttle toward Earth. The crystalline vessel shimmered against the backdrop of space, changing colors as it passed through Earth's atmosphere before docking at the International Space Station. Global viewership broke all records as humanity collectively held its breath. Atmospheric composition confirmed compatible, announced Commander Santos as the airlock between the station and alien shuttle prepared to open. Medical teams standing by in case of biological contamination. Admiral Yamamoto straightened his dress uniform, aware that billions watched this moment. Beside him stood Dr. Isabel Nakamura, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, and Secretary General Wei of the United Earth Council. They had rehearsed this moment extensively, yet Yamamoto knew no preparation could be truly adequate. The airlock cycled open. 3 beings stepped through with fluid grace that seemed impossible for their height. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, the Valtteri representatives had humanoid forms, but with elongated limbs and iridescent skin that rippled with colors like oil on water. Their faces featured 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, without visible noses, and their mouths remained perfectly straight lines when not speaking. "I am Supreme Overseer Zenith," announced the tallest one in flawless English, its voice resonating with harmonic undertones. "These are Evaluators Meridian and Apex. We speak for the Valtteri Imperium, governing authority of this galactic sector." Secretary General Wei stepped forward with practiced dignity. "Welcome to Earth. I am Secretary General Wei, representing the United Earth Council. We are honored to—" "Your welcome is noted but unnecessary," interrupted Zenith, its skin flashing briefly yellow. "We have already completed preliminary scans of your civilization. This meeting is merely procedural." Admiral Yamamoto felt a flicker of irritation, but maintained his diplomatic composure. "Perhaps you might share more about your civilization and this categorization process you mentioned." The alien skin shifted to a cool blue as its upper eyes narrowed slightly. "The Valtteri Imperium has existed for 17,000 of your years. We have cataloged and guided the development of 322 spacefaring species. Each is classified according to technological achievement, biological adaptability, and cultural stability." Evaluator Meridian stepped forward, producing a transparent device that projected a holographic display of various alien species arranged in a hierarchical structure. Category 1 species serve as full Imperium members. Category 2 species maintain limited sovereignty under our guidance. Category 3 species, which will be your designation, are permitted controlled interstellar travel with appropriate oversight. Dr. Nakamura studied the display with scientific curiosity. "And what determines these categories?" "Your species shows adequate but unremarkable technological progression," Evaluator Apex stated flatly. "Your biological form is reasonably adaptable but inefficient. Your cultural development suggests periods of promise interrupted by regressive conflicts." Secretary General Wei's expression remained diplomatic, but her voice carried steel. "With respect, we would prefer to be evaluated as equals rather than specimens." Supreme Overseer Zenith's skin flickered momentarily to a deep purple before settling back to its previous hue. "Equality is earned through advancement. The Valtteri achieved interstellar travel 6,000 years before developing nuclear fission. Your species required centuries merely to progress from atmospheric flight to the lunar landing." Admiral Yamamoto stepped forward, his military bearing unmistakable. "Humanity accepts no classification system we didn't help create. We propose instead a mutual exchange of knowledge and cultural understanding." The 3 Valtteri exchanged glances that seemed to communicate more than words could express. Supreme Overseer Zenith's skin suddenly shifted to bright orange, a color they hadn't displayed previously. "Interesting," Zenith finally said. "Most species at your development stage accept Imperium guidance without question. Your independence is noted. Perhaps it's worth reconsidering our classification," Yamamoto suggested diplomatically. Supreme Overseer Zenith's mouth curved slightly upward in what might have been amusement or disdain. "We will return to our vessel and consult with the Imperium Council. You have 3 planetary rotations to reconsider your position. Defiance of classification is historically unsuccessful." As the aliens returned to their shuttle, Admiral Yamamoto turned to Secretary General Wei. "They're not used to being refused," he observed quietly. We nodded. "Let's hope we haven't made a terrible mistake. Or perhaps, Yamamoto finished her thought. "It's time to activate the protocol." 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, in a facility known only to 12 living humans, Dr. Sophia Chen stood before a curved wall of displays showing real-time updates from around the solar system. The room, officially designated Deep Ocean Research Station Alpha, but referred to by insiders simply as the bunker, had been carved from the bedrock beneath the Mariana Trench nearly 60 years earlier. "The Valkyrie have returned to their mothership," reported her assistant, Dr. Khalid Hassan. "All diplomatic channels remain open, but chatter from military frequencies suggests they're not pleased." Dr. Chen nodded, her fingers tapping a complex rhythm on the edge of her workstation. At 57, she had dedicated the past 22 years to Operation Sleeping Giant, a contingency plan created after humanity detected its first artificial signals from deep space in 2089. While the public had celebrated the discovery as proof that humanity wasn't alone, a select group of scientists and military leaders had recognized a potential threat. "Admiral Yamamoto has initiated authorization sequence," announced the station's security officer. Dr. Chen straightened her lab coat, a nervous habit from her university days. "Prepare for full protocol activation. Priority 1 through 5 systems only." "The President hasn't authorized full deployment," Khalid reminded her gently. "We won't need it," Chen replied. "A demonstration should suffice." Kilometers above, Admiral Yamamoto entered his private quarters aboard the defense platform orbiting Earth. He pressed his palm against an unmarked section of wall, revealing the hidden scanner. After confirming his identity through multiple biometric checks, a secure communication terminal emerged from beneath his desk. "Yamamoto, authorization code Sierra November Golf 749. Activate Phase 1. Across the solar system, seemingly dormant objects began to wake. Disguised as orbital debris, defunct satellites, and unremarkable asteroids, 147 stealth platforms powered up their cores. Some had been in position for decades, orbiting silently on minimal power. Each contained revolutionary technology developed in secret, quantum computing cores linked through untraceable subspace connections, and weapons systems derived from principles of physics, not yet published in scientific journals. In the Jovian orbit, Lieutenant Rodriguez noticed nothing unusual on her monitoring station. The stealth platforms were designed to remain invisible, even to Earth's own detection systems. In the bunker, Dr. Chen watched as green confirmation lights appeared across her display. All platforms responding. Quantum network synchronizing. Power signatures remain below detection thresholds. Confirmed Khalid. The Valkyrie aren't reacting. Chen allowed herself a small smile. They don't know what to look for. Their technology follows a different development path than ours. The truth behind Operation Sleeping Giant was humanity's greatest secret. After the discovery of artificial signals in 2089, a cover team of researchers had made another discovery, one never revealed to the public. The signals weren't coming from aliens. They were echoes of human technology, bounced back from distant star systems. Somewhere in humanity's forgotten past, our ancestors had ventured to the stars before a cataclysm forced a return to Earth and a loss of advanced knowledge. For decades, scientists had worked to reverse engineer principles from these echoes, developing technology that operated on fundamentally different principles than conventional human or Valkyrie systems. Platform network fully synchronized, announced the operations officer, awaiting final command authorization. Dr. Chen opened a secure channel to Admiral Yamamoto. Operation Sleeping Giant is ready, Admiral. Remember, this is only a demonstration. We're revealing less than 8% of our capabilities. On the command platform, Yamamoto acknowledged the message. Understood, Doctor. Let's hope it's enough to make our visitors reconsider their assessment of humanity. As the Volturi delegation prepared to return with reinforcements, they remained completely unaware that Earth's response was already surrounding them, invisible and waiting. Humanity's first and potentially last diplomatic opportunity would come not from words, but from a carefully orchestrated revelation of power no one expected them to possess. Dr. Chen gazed at the final activation sequence on her screen. Prepare to wake the giants. Precisely 72 hours after their departure, the Volturi returned. This time, their crystalline shuttle was accompanied by 5 warships that emerged from folded space with a brilliant flash of energy that temporarily disrupted communications across the solar system. Formation analysis suggests standard Volturi intimidation protocol, reported Commander Santos, studying the tactical display in Earth Defense Headquarters. They've positioned vessels to target major population centers while maintaining overlapping defense fields. Admiral Yamamoto nodded grimly. The Volturi vessels dwarfed Earth's largest ships, their sleek hulls adorned with what appeared to be weapon ports that pulsed with ominous energy. Around him, the command center staff maintained professional composure, though the tension was palpable. Open a direct channel to Supreme Overseer Zenith, Yamamoto ordered. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the Volturi leader. Its skin now pulsed with deep crimson patterns that seemed to flow like liquid fire across its elongated form. Admiral Yamamoto, Zenith began, its harmonic voice carrying a new edge of authority. The Imperium Council has reviewed your response and finds it regrettably typical of species at your development stage. Temporary resistance is a common phase before acceptance of galactic order. Yamamoto kept his expression neutral. We appreciate your return, Overseer. Perhaps we can continue our discussion of cultural exchange. Discussion phase has concluded, Zenith replied flatly. We have deployed a compliance field around your lunar colony. Communications and power systems there will remain disabled until Earth accepts Category 3 classification. This demonstration is standard procedure and causes no permanent harm. On secondary screens, reports confirmed the Volturi claim. Luna City's 2 million inhabitants were suddenly cut off, their life support systems operating on emergency backup power. Secretary General Wei stepped into view beside Yamamoto. This action against civilians is unacceptable. We demand immediate restoration of. Your demands are noted but irrelevant, interrupted Zenith, its upper eyes narrowing slightly. 322 species before you have followed this same path. All eventually accepted their proper place. Admiral Yamamoto exchanged a brief glance with Wei, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. Perhaps a demonstration of our own might help us communicate more clearly, Yamamoto said calmly. He tapped a sequence on his command console, transmitting the final authorization code to the bunker. Deep beneath the Pacific, Dr. Chen received the signal. Initiate Phase 2, she ordered. Targeted platforms only. Throughout the solar system, 12 previously invisible vessels suddenly materialized, 2 flanking each Volturi warship. The human vessels bore no conventional engine ports, no visible weapon systems, and no recognizable design elements from any Earth shipyard. Their hulls seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, creating the unsettling impression of perfect voids against the starfield. On the command platform, Yamamoto watched Zenith's reaction with satisfaction. The alien skin had abruptly shifted to pale white, its 4 eyes widened in what could only be shock. Impossible, the Volturi leader whispered. Your technology level can it. Release the compliance field around Luna immediately, Yamamoto interrupted, his voice calm but unyielding. When Zenith hesitated, Dr. Chen activated the next phase from her underwater command center. Each human vessel released a precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulse that bypassed conventional shielding. Across the Volturi fleet, primary systems failed simultaneously. Their energy shields flickered and died as gravity stabilizers faltered. "What is happening?" demanded Zenith, its composure visibly fracturing as alarms blared behind it. "This technology cannot exist at your development stage. You made two critical miscalculations," Yamamoto explained coolly. "First, you assumed our public technology represented our actual capabilities. Second, you failed to consider that humanity might prioritize defensive innovation, specifically because we anticipated this moment." The most shocking revelation for the Valkyrie came as they detected movement from the human vessels. Without any visible propulsion system, the ships adjusted position with impossible precision, creating the appearance of effortless navigation through space, a technology the Valkyrie had theorized, but never successfully implemented. "The compliance field has been neutralized," reported Commander Santos. "Luna City reports all systems returning to normal." Supreme Overseer Zenith's skin had settled into a mottled gray-blue pattern. "The Imperium Council will require explanation of this development." Yamamoto's expression remained unchanged. "We look forward to those discussions, Overseer, perhaps as equals this time." Aboard the Valkyrie flagship, chaos reigned as engineers struggled to restore primary systems. Supreme Director Over, the highest-ranking Valkyrie official in the fleet, observed the emergency operations with growing unease. His iridescent skin had settled into a deep indigo, the Valkyrie expression of profound concern. "Analysis of the human vessels is incomplete," reported Chief Scientist Lumina, her four eyes fixed on a holographic display of cascading data. "Our sensors cannot penetrate their hull material. It appears to absorb scanning waves rather than reflect them." Over's elongated fingers tapped rhythmically against the crystalline command table. "Impossible. No Category 5 civilization has achieved such technology, let alone a pre-classification species." "There is more," Lumina continued, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "We detect no life signs aboard their vessels." "Shielding technology," suggested Fleet Commander Vertex. Lumina's skin flashed a brief pattern of frustrated orange. "No, we've analyzed their movements during the confrontation. The vessels respond to changing conditions at speeds no biological operator could achieve. They appear to be fully autonomous systems guided by some form of advanced artificial intelligence." On the holographic display, footage showed a human vessel adjusting its position with impossible precision. No engine flare, no reaction mass ejection, seemingly ignoring inertial constraints. "Most concerning," added Lumina, "is their method of propulsion. They appear to be manipulating localized gravitational fields, creating controlled space-time distortions for movement." Over's skin paled. "Gravitational propulsion is theoretical. Even the Valkyrie Scientific Consortium has only achieved limited success in laboratory conditions. The humans have weaponized it," Vertex stated flatly. Meanwhile, in the bunker beneath the Mariana Trench, Dr. Chen monitored the Valkyrie response through quantum-entangled sensors embedded in the stealth platforms. "They're scanning our vessels," she reported to Admiral Yamamoto via secure channel. "As expected, their analysis is revealing just enough to concern them without exposing our core technologies." Yamamoto's face on the secure feed showed professional satisfaction. "And the autonomous systems are performing as designed." "Better than expected," Chen confirmed. "The synthetic neural networks are processing tactical decisions 30% faster than our simulations predicted. The Valkyrie have no frame of reference for this technology." What neither Chen nor Yamamoto revealed to anyone outside the bunker was the truth about the human vessels. They weren't merely autonomous. They were piloted by a completely new form of consciousness, one created by merging human neural patterns with quantum computational substrates. Neither fully machine nor human, these hybrid intelligences represented an evolutionary leap beyond anything the Valkyrie had encountered. Back on the Valkyrie flagship, Supreme Director Over received a transmission from the Imperium homeworld. The Council demanded immediate information about the human technology. "Unknown, High Council," Over reported, his skin fluctuating between colors of uncertainty. Their technological base appears to follow fundamentally different principles than established galactic development patterns. Impossible, declared Council Elder Synapse, the oldest living Vulturi. All species follow predictable technological progression. Physics is universal. Evidently not, Elder, reply over. The humans appear to have prioritized completely different research paths than other known species. Their public technology suggests Category 3 classification, but these hidden capabilities exceed even Category 5 benchmarks in certain domains. Most disturbing, added Chief Scientist Lumina, is that our preliminary analysis suggests they've barely revealed their full capabilities. These vessels appear to be deliberately constructed to demonstrate power while concealing their true technological foundation. Council Elder Synapse's image flickered as the transmission struggled against lingering electromagnetic interference. You believe they possess more advanced technology than what they've shown. I believe, Over replied carefully, that we may have encountered the first species in Vulturi history that deliberately concealed its technological advancement. The implications are unsettling. In Earth's command center, Admiral Yamamoto allowed himself a small smile as the Vulturi ships maintained their distance, weapons systems powered down. Beside him, Secretary General Y watched the tactical display with cautious optimism. Phase 1 successful, Yamamoto noted quietly. They're reassessing. And if they decide to escalate instead? Y asked. Yamamoto's expression grew serious. Then we revealed that this demonstration used less than 10% of our actual capabilities. Supreme Overseer Zenith requested a diplomatic meeting less than 24 hours after the demonstration. This time, the venue was Earth's choice, a specially constructed neutral facility in orbit above the Atlantic Ocean. The crystalline Vulturi shuttle approached cautiously, escorted by two of the mysterious human vessels that had so thoroughly disrupted their plans. Admiral Yamamoto stood alongside Secretary General Wei and Dr. Sophia Chen, who had reluctantly emerged from her underwater command center for this critical encounter. Despite her brilliant mind, Chen preferred systems and data to diplomatic engagements. Today, however, her presence was essential. When the Vulturi delegation entered, Supreme Overseer Zenith, flanked by Science Director Lumina and Supreme Director Over, their skin colors had stabilized into a muted blue-green that humans had learned indicated formal caution. Your demonstration was illuminating, Zenith began, its harmonic voice carefully modulated. The Imperium Council has authorized me to offer Category 1 status to Earth immediately. Secretary General Wei smiled politely. We appreciate the offer, Overseer, but as we've stated, we don't recognize your classification system. You misunderstand, Zenith replied. Category 1 grants full sovereignty and Imperium protection. It is our highest designation. We understand completely, Yamamoto countered, but Earth will determine its own path in the galaxy. Zenith's four eyes blinked in an alternating pattern, a gesture of confusion. You have clearly mastered technologies beyond your expected development stage. The Imperium would benefit from understanding how this occurred. Dr. Chen stepped forward, activating a holographic display between them. Perhaps we should discuss the real question, Overseer. You're not merely curious about our technology. You're disturbed by how it fundamentally contradicts your understanding of technological progression. The image between them shifted to show a three-dimensional map of an archaeological site. The location was instantly recognizable to any human with basic education, the Antarctic Research Station that had transformed human history 30 years earlier. In 2127, a geological survey team discovered something unexpected 2 miles beneath the Antarctic ice, Chen explained, a perfectly preserved ship of non-human origin. The Vulturi delegates exchanged glances, their skin rippling with patterns of surprise and intense interest. The vessel contained no crew, Chen continued, but its database remained intact. It belonged to a species that called themselves the predecessors, a civilization that seeded life throughout the galaxy before mysteriously disappearing approximately 100,000 years ago. Lumina's skin flashed vivid purple patterns. Impossible. The Volturi Imperium has catalogued all known galactic civilizations for 17,000 years. No record exists of these predecessors, because they vanished long before the Volturi achieved space travel, Chen replied. But they left their technology behind in various places, including Earth. The holographic display shifted to show schematics of advanced propulsion systems and quantum computational matrices, designs clearly similar to the technology demonstrated by the human vessels, yet distinctly alien in origin. We didn't develop these technologies, Chen admitted. We rediscovered them. The predecessors considered humans a promising species and left us a technological inheritance, buried where it would only be found when we reached a certain development stage. Supreme Director Over's skin had paled to almost white. Why would an advanced species do this? Secretary General Wei answered softly. Their records suggest they were being hunted by something they called the darkness. They scattered their knowledge across dozens of worlds, hoping that younger species might someday understand what happened to them. The revelation hung in the air between them. The Volturi delegation stood in stunned silence, their worldview fundamentally challenged. The most remarkable discovery, Admiral Yamamoto added, was that humans possess a unique neural architecture that allows us to interface with predecessor technology in ways no other species can. We didn't simply find their technology. We were designed to be compatible with it. Zenith's skin slowly shifted to a deep cobalt blue. This changes everything the Imperium understands about galactic history. Yes, Wei agreed, which is why we propose a true partnership rather than a classification. We have knowledge you lack, and you have experience we need. The predecessors hinted at threats beyond the galaxy's edge that may someday return. Perhaps together, we might prepare for that possibility. For the first time, Supreme Overseer Zenith's expression showed something approximating respect. The Imperium Council will need to reconsider many long-held assumptions. News of the human technological revelation spread like wildfire throughout the Volturi Imperium. Despite attempts by the High Council to control the information flow, details leaked through merchant channels, diplomatic networks, and interspecies communication hubs. Within weeks, representatives from dozens of classified civilizations had requested meetings with Earth's diplomats. Admiral Yamamoto stood by a panoramic viewport in the newly constructed Orbital Diplomatic Center, observing the unprecedented gathering of vessels in Earth orbit. Ships of every conceivable design, some elegant and crystalline like the Volturi, others seemingly grown rather than built, and several that appeared to phase between solid and energy states, formed a protective ring around the blue planet. 17 species have formally requested alliances, reported Commander Santos, reviewing updates on her tablet. Most interesting are the Zaveri and Myriad Collective, both Category 2 civilizations with significant technological contributions to the Imperium. Secretary General Wei entered the observation deck, her formal diplomatic attire replaced by a more practical uniform appropriate for the extended negotiations. The Volturi High Council has requested an emergency session. Supreme Overseer Zenith will attend personally. They're scared, Yamamoto observed quietly. We nodded, and with good reason. 3 of their subject species have already declared independence. The Imperium's power structure relied on the assumption that they possessed the most advanced technology in known space. In the adjacent conference chamber, Dr. Chen guided a delegation of alien scientists through holographic displays of predecessor artifacts. Unlike the Volturi diplomats, these researchers from various species showed unrestrained enthusiasm. The similarities to Kinteri temple inscriptions are unmistakable, exclaimed a multi-limbed being with translucent skin that revealed shifting internal organs. We believe these were religious symbols, but they may actually be technical schematics. Precisely, Chen confirmed. The predecessors appear to have left fragments of their knowledge throughout the galaxy, but in forms that would only be recognized once a species reached a certain technological threshold. a hovering entity composed of luminous gas pulsed with colors as it communicated through a translation device. The Valkyrie classified my people as Category 4 due to our atmospheric requirements limiting our space travel. Yet we've been studying these exact energy patterns in our orbital clouds for generations. Chen's eyes widened with interest. We should compare your atmospheric research with our quantum communication protocols. There might be connections we've missed. As diplomatic and scientific exchanges flourished, Supreme Director Over faced a crisis in the Valkyrie command vessel. Reports from across Imperium space indicated growing unrest among classified species. Most troubling were the communications from the homeworld, where the Council of Elders had fallen into factional conflict. Elder Synapse leads the Progressive Coalition, reported his aide. They advocate for dissolving the classification system entirely and forming a new interstellar alliance based on mutual cooperation. Over's skin rippled with patterns of deep concern. And the opposition. High Commander Vertex has gathered military support for maintaining Imperium authority, by force if necessary. Below, on Earth's surface, Admiral Yamamoto received the intelligence report in his private office. The potential Valkyrie civil conflict represented both opportunity and danger for humanity's first steps into galactic politics. We need to move quickly, he told the secure gathering of Earth's leadership. I propose inviting representatives from every known species to Earth for an unprecedented diplomatic summit. The Valkyrie will see it as a direct challenge to their authority, cautioned the European Federation president. Yes, Yamamoto acknowledged, but they're already destabilized. Better to shape what comes next than react to it. Secretary General Wei considered the proposal carefully. The summit should address the predecessor records regarding the darkness. If a genuine threat exists beyond the galaxy, all species share that concern. Precisely, agreed Dr. Chen. Our technological advantages are significant but not absolute. The Valkyrie have 17,000 years of spacefaring experience we lack. Other species possess evolutionary adaptations and perspectives that might be crucial. The decision required only minutes. 12 hours later, Earth broadcast an open invitation across all known communication frequencies and protocols. The message was simple but revolutionary. Earth would host the first truly equal gathering of galactic civilizations, with no classifications, no hierarchies, and a shared purpose: understanding the ancient warnings and preparing for potential threats to all life. The Valkyrie Imperium, for the first time in its long history, found itself responding to another species' initiative rather than dictating terms. Supreme Overseer Zenith, after consulting with the Fractured Council, made an unprecedented decision. We will attend, he informed Earth's representatives, his skin showing complex patterns never before observed by humans. As equals, 6 months after first contact, Earth had transformed. Orbital construction platforms swarmed with activity as human engineers worked alongside alien specialists, building the headquarters for what was now officially called the Galactic Cooperative. The massive ring structure encircling the planet glimmered with materials and technologies from a dozen worlds, symbolizing the unprecedented alliance that had replaced the Valkyrie Imperium. Admiral Yamamoto stood before the assembled delegates in the Grand Chamber's inaugural session. Representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations filled the tiered seating, their diverse biological forms requiring specialized environmental accommodations that human engineers had creatively addressed. 6 months ago, our worlds existed in isolation or hierarchy. Yamamoto began, his voice carrying easily through the perfect acoustics. Today, we gather as equals with a shared purpose: to forge a future based on mutual respect and collective security. The chamber's design itself represented the new order. Unlike the Valkyrie Council chambers that elevated the Imperium leaders above others, this hall was circular with no position of prominence. Translation systems seamlessly converted each speaker's words into the preferred communication method of every delegate, whether verbal, chemical, telepathic, or visual. In the scientific wing, Dr. Chen led the multi-species research initiative dedicated to understanding the predecessor technology and warnings. Her team had expanded to include brilliant minds from across the galaxy, each bringing unique perspectives to the ancient mysteries. The fragmented warnings appear consistently across 17 discovered sites, she explained to a visiting delegation. References to the darkness suggest an entity or force that exists outside normal spacetime. The predecessors believed it cycled through our galaxy every 100,000 years. A Xaveri scientist, their crystalline body structure shimmering with internal light, manipulated the holographic display. These timing calculations align with extinction events recorded in our astronomical archives. We always assumed they were natural disasters. Perhaps they were natural to the entity causing them, suggested a hovering myriad representative, its collective consciousness speaking through 3 simultaneously coordinated drones. The predecessor's defensive technology specifically focused on interdimensional barriers and quantum isolation fields. On the military side, former Valtry's Supreme Director Over had surprised everyone by accepting a joint command position alongside Admiral Yamamoto. His centuries of tactical experience complemented human innovative thinking in unexpected ways. The hybrid vessels performed beyond all projections, Over reported as they observed a training exercise from the command center. Human-developed quantum navigation systems paired with Valtry defensive technology and Xaveri power sources had created ships more advanced than anything previously imagined. Integration is proceeding faster than expected, Yamamoto noted with satisfaction. Over's skin displayed patterns of cautious optimism, an emotion the Valtry had rarely expressed before encountering humans. Your species' adaptability continues to surprise us. Most civilizations require generations to assimilate new technologies. Necessity and curiosity are powerful motivators, Yamamoto replied. And the predecessor records suggest we may have less time than we'd like before facing this galactic threat. Throughout inhabited space, the restructuring continued. Former Valtry subject worlds now participated as full members in the cooperative, contributing their unique insights and evolutionary advantages. The Valtry themselves, though diminished in authority, provided invaluable star charts, xenobiological databases, and diplomatic experience to the new alliance. On Earth, extraordinary changes reshaped human society. Universities established departments of Sinolinguistics and comparative astrobiology. Children in elementary schools learned about alien cultures alongside human history. Medical research accelerated as treatments derived from diverse biological approaches revolutionized healthcare. Secretary General Wei, now serving as Earth's first galactic representative, addressed the United Earth Council in its final session before transferring authority to the new integrated governance structure. When the Valtry arrived 6 months ago, they expected to classify and eventually absorb humanity into their empire. Instead, their arrival became the catalyst for a fundamental reorganization of known space. History will mark this as the moment when cooperation replaced domination as the organizing principle of galactic civilization. As human ships ventured outward alongside their new allies, they carried the distinctive insignia of the Galactic Cooperative, a stylized representation of the predecessor symbol for continuation. Throughout known space, the emblem represented both warning and promise, that life would continue despite ancient threats, and that diversity united in common purpose could face challenges no single species could overcome alone. Admiral Yamamoto stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital headquarters, watching as a joint expedition prepared to investigate a newly discovered predecessor site in a distant star system. Human and alien crew worked seamlessly together, their specialized capabilities complementing each other. We were never meant to face the darkness alone, he reflected quietly. Perhaps that was the predecessor's greatest gift, not their technology, but this moment of unity.